Julian and Miles have become even more obsessed with their Alamo program, if you can believe it. Rom is always bragging about his son, the soldier boy, and we'll never know if Vic Fontaine dreams. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a review of Deep Space Nine. This is the big one. You guys have been waiting for this one. Season 7, Episode 10, It's Only a Paper Moon. Story by our good friends and friends of the show, David Mack and John Ordover. And written by Ronald D. Moore. I wish he was my friend. Directed by Anson Williams. This was December 30th, 1998. Where were you? This is a Nog episode. It is a very, very Nog episode. So Malissa Longo is here.
Hi.
Man, it is so Nog, and I'm so excited. Very quickly,
so Nog.
Before we get into it, we want to give a very special thanks to our friends Mark Rocco and Janice Sangunito. That's got to be Italian, right? Mark Rocco, thank you very much. And Janice Sangunito, thank you very much. How you guys doing? Sangunito. S-A-N-G, that's blood, right? Blood, like that's the root of that is blood.
Yeah.
I think
yeah. It's same thing in French.
I missed the Soldier Boy reference. Where was that? Did he call him the Soldier Boy?
Yeah.
Vic.
And then the song played in my head. And I was trying to remember the moves for the Soldier Boy.
Please remember them for this recording. This would be glorious.
That might be the origin of Soldier Boy's name, huh? Okay, interesting.
Gotta be.
Interesting.
Also, Nog asked him, he said, "Hey, Vic, do you dream?" And he was like, "Go to bed, Pally," or something like that. I was like, but we all want to know, man.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Blade Runner and what it was based off of. And do androids dream or count something sheep? I forget. But
Count Dooku. All right, Cirroc.
Yeah.
Oh, first of all, everybody listening in, Cirroc is wearing the coolest Ethiopian scarf, and I freaking love it.
It's
like
beautiful.
Blue and like gold and like is that black or a dark brown? It almost looks like. Compared to your black shirt.
A little red in the
with
tip.
red.
Ooh, a little red flare. It's freaking amazing.
Spice. Add the spice.
Yeah. I have to go back and ask my mom what particular tribe this represents, because each pattern has a reference to different tribes. Like some of them are Walaita, and they're just different tribes, or Romeo. So you have these fabrics and these designs represent different regions and tribes in Ethiopia. So the pattern, like as soon as you see somebody wearing it, you know where they're from.
What about this one?
I have to go back.
Love
you know where this one's from?
Nice. That's a little Ethiopian action too. Absolutely.
Love it.
Love it.
I always have this one on hand in case I need to look cool real quick. I'm like, no, I'm cool. Check it out. Everybody listening, I got an Ethiopian scarf as well. I did not get that myself. That is a gift from Cirroc. I wouldn't know where to look other than Ethiopia, but Melissa's got her hands full. She's like, I don't have a scarf. Well, you have a cat.
I have a bracelet,
okay.
But I could run and get it.
No. This is about Nog in this episode. I mean, speaking of looking fresh, I thought he looked really dapper in this episode.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I loved him in the tuxedo. I loved him in this like outfits from like, I don't know, it looked like
so funny.
Those sweater vests.
That sweater, yeah. He looked sharp in that. It looked good on him, actually.
How was Aron, by the way, able to look good looking through all that hideous makeup? Like, especially when he came down the stairs at the end there, I was like, damn, that is a good looking dude. Through the makeup, through the big head.
I know. Well, and then there was moments where I was noticing his arms through his sweater. And I'm like, see, that's not padding. That's Aron's arms. He was cut.
Man, I wish he could hear you say that. He'd be like, that was a lot of work. Thank you for noticing.
Well, he loves turning his Raisinets into Whoppers. So, quote from Aron Eisenberg.
Yeah. He definitely a great episode. So much in this episode. First of all, the title itself, just "It's Only a Paper Moon," is Ella Fitzgerald song. I want to make sure we talk a little bit about her, but it's really just a well-written episode. I mean, as soon as you get into it, they get right into it with Rom. I think Rom provides so much comedy in the beginning of this episode. I don't know what I'm going to say to him. How's your new leg? You know,
or when he said,
the way
what cracked me up was when he said, "See you later," or something like that, right?
Yes, I like that too.
I'm like, why did he drag out "C" so long? But why it worked so well though?
But it works with his thought process. Like this is the way Rom thinks. So he speaks the way he thinks, and it's wonderful because it's so unique to Rom. And the way
it is, his delivery is like he almost sings it.
Yeah,
it's almost like he's singing the line. Okay, see you later. It's kind of like a commercial, like a commercial jingle. Like
they're great.
Right. Exactly. Ram is the talking commercial jingle. Everything he says, he kind of sings and really has a melody to it, which I love because it's so comedic. And then I think that it's a good balance for this episode too, because this episode was dealing with a lot of heavy issues.
And it's endearing and full of heart, and it's wonderful. Rom is amazing.
Yeah. Now, Cirroc, most of these episodes, this is your first viewing. So the question is, had you seen it? I know you've heard us talking about this 1,000 times over. This episode means so much to so many, including Aron himself, especially, I think, not just because he loved the episode, but on top of it, how much it meant to other people. But had you seen this before?
No, this was my first time watching this episode.
Awesome.
Yay.
And I kept pausing it and rewinding it and pausing. Like I had so much notes, I had to double up. It's just too much to write down. And no, I was surprised. I was watching this episode completely. I didn't even remember doing the episode until I walk in with that date with Keisha, and I was like, "Oh, I remember Keisha. Yes, she was a beautiful girl." And so I didn't even remember the scenes. I didn't remember any. I was watching it literally like just anybody else at home who didn't know what the outcome was going to be. So when Nog kicks the table over and jumps on top of me and starts punching me, I was like, "What the hell?" I really was shocked by it. I was like, "What the hell was that? Why'd you do that? Damn, Nog.
Damn, Nog, what's your problem?
What's wrong with you, man?"
Yeah.
So I was really surprised by that. I was surprised by that.
Do we remember Keisha's last name? I think it was Florentine. But okay, some people will get that one.
No.
And if not, I'll show myself out. Melissa's still working on it. She was looking away. Anyway, yeah, and Cirroc, by the way, again, in that scene, you did your own stunts, right? That was you. That was definitely you getting a table thrown on you and you falling back. There was no mat behind you because we would have seen it. Right. Maybe they might have given you one of those alligator things behind you or whatever. Or maybe you were just like, dude, I'm 18. And I'm tough, nothing breaks when you're 18. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. That's not a heavy duty stunt right there. That's just a fallback fall over.
But you don't remember it,
too big of a deal.
And you've got some inches on Nog too. So.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking, how many times Nog has been a real jerk to me when I was watching that scene. I was like, he's still being a jerk. I'm trying to help you out, and I thought there were some really good moments there. I liked it's just like when he first sees him, he says, like, "Hey, I can carry your bag," right? That's like the first kind of like, you know, you need help carrying your bag, and Nog's like that's not what he wants to hear right now. He doesn't want to
Mhm.
be his kind of handicap to be the thing that is the center of attention, and right away it is the center of attention, right, from everybody's
Yeah.
perspective. So
Well, yeah, but
yeah,
it's also, yes, it's Nog's story, but it's also interesting to see um, the crew's culture shock to Nog's PTSD, and it not a, this isn't the same man that they sent, that sent away, that they knew, that they've grown up with on the station. He's been completely changed by his experience, and I don't think that everyone was completely prepared for the Nog that came home.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it was a really nice moment though when he did arrive before we realized, the issues that came from this, when everybody was there cheering for him and
Yeah,
Sisko was having his nice moment with him.
yeah,
They were all it was like a really nice sentiment to see, how they value him and how they treat people.
yeah,
And I also
yeah.
thought it was really cool that Ram and Lita kind of got their moment to shine, especially at the beginning and at the
Mhm.
end, to where they were kind of his safety net. They're his family, and
Mhm.
Lita really steps up as a mother figure. Like she's not just like she wasn't acting like, oh, this is my husband's son. Like she was acting the most concerned out of everybody, She like loves him like a son herself. So I thought that was a really nice moment for her, and I was really happy that the writers gave all of the characters such great moments in reference to you saying that the crew kind of had that culture shock. It was nice to see how each of the different crew members reacted to this in their
Mhm.
own way and how they all cared in their own way
yeah,
and tried to fix it.
yeah,
Yeah, there was definitely
yeah. And to your
concern.
point, they even they went into the oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was saying it to your point that, when they had that meeting inside of the, captain's quarters or whatever it was, and
Mhm.
they're all sitting there basically trying to strategize and game plan on how to figure out the best course for Nog, right? They're like, okay, he needs his space, he needs this, we got to do this. And, they start going through the whole holodeck, like, I don't believe that's the best option. Just the whole game planning. I felt like from the beginning, it felt like the the crew was trying to pick up their guy that they knew was down. And
Yeah.
there was a moment there
Mhm.
with O'Brien and Nog. I thought it was towards the end when he
Oh,
said,
that was
"Hey,
so good.
you can't. I know you're trying to override the system, but you can't." And I thought that was just a very good moment. And everybody kind of had their moments with him without like slapping him around and saying, "Hey, what's the matter with you?" It was more like,
Mhm.
"Hey, this is a sensitive issue. Let's try to figure it out." Except for when Jake gets like, he can't handle that song anymore. He's like,
He's
I
"I'm
like, 3 days,
know.
man. It's been three
I
days of the
know.
same song on loop. I
yeah,
can't sleep.
I can't do this, man. I
I'm
can't do this."
trying to be understanding, but
Yeah, yeah. I
go
want
to
to be your
Holosuite.
friend. He's like, "I'm trying to be understanding. I want to be your friend, but enough is enough. This is not going to work. You gotta."
Yeah.
But of
So
course, so
it's your fault that he ends up in a
well, I
Holosuite.
was gonna say
I
Jake is the
know.
hero. He's the reason that
Right.
Nog went into the Holosuite and
Mhm.
got better and made his friend and had this whole arc that ended up being for the better. So
Yeah.
Jake saves the
Good
day
job.
again. God,
Yeah,
he's always saving the
inadvertently, I
day.
did. That's what I said. Go rent a hollow suite. um, I thought another moment, just a small Jake moment, was when Keisha was talking to Nog, and she says to him, "Yeah, Jake tells me that you're going to be the first Ferengi captain in Starfleet."
That's so cute.
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's kind of a cool. That's cool."
That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
his buddy is bragging to this girl about his friend.
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, Jake is such a good friend. He's so great. He's talking about his buddy Nog.
Or maybe that's just his pickup line. Maybe he's like, my dad's a captain. My best friend's a captain. Your best friend's a captain? Well, he will someday. He will someday. Go you can come meet him.
No, Jake's there. I mean, he's only there really to cheer up Nog and try to, make him feel better. And it's funny because in that scene, when I'm sitting there with Keisha and we're, having that moment, I walk away. Nog does this, Aron does this really good ribbing when he wants to like pull your card and make you feel uncomfortable or be short with you. He's very good at this. If he wants to make you feel uncomfortable or he wants to call you out and he thinks you're BSing or something, he thinks you're phony, Aron will like he can chop you down. And I saw glimpses of that in his performance as Nog in that scene. I was like, boy, when he wants to go hard on somebody, right?
Same. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's Aron there. I've seen that look.
Yeah. He can
like when he said
no mercy, like Karate Kid, like sweep the leg, no mercy. When he wants to shut you down, that's what he did to Keisha.
Like when he said, then maybe you should keep quiet. I was like,
yes.
He does that. I've seen him do that in real life to people that he wanted to shut down, and he shuts them down like just like that with that exact same kind of like okay.
No, I've definitely seen that look before. It's not necessarily directed at me. I don't think he ever directed that look at me, although he could have.
Maybe to the back of your head when you weren't looking.
Yeah,
you're like, he could have, and I just missed it.
He could have, but no.
That's his angry. That's when he gets angry. When he gets angry at somebody, or if he's like in a really bad mood, then he'll shut you down like that, and you're like, "There's no in. There's no way to get in." You're like, it's like, well, maybe you should just, yeah. Why don't you just go sit over there where you're supposed to be at?
I think what was cool about this was that, along with that, is that we got to see the many shades of Aron the actor, right?
Yes.
We got to see him playing depressed. We got to see him playing beside himself with tears and sadness and just broken down. We got to see him totally excited and ambitious and amped about something like he used to be with this show. When he's like, we'll build this and we'll do that, and really getting into it.
Yeah,
we saw him
another thing. Yeah, we saw so many
getting mad at you, Cirroc. We saw that. We saw him. I saw a second of horror when he was watching the old TV show with the people shooting each other. As soon as somebody was shooting him, he was looking. He was just like, what is wrong with these people? Like the look on his face, and just like a 1 second reaction shot when he was watching them shoot each other. And you could tell he was just thinking like, these people were barbaric. What are they doing?
Well, yeah, but then you saw the confusion and, didn't he just get shot?
Yeah.
How is he walking around? Wait, this doesn't make sense. It's a TV show. It's not real life. No.
Well, one thing about Nog that I've always he is adamant about projecting a tough exterior. And so that was one thing that he's like always rested his his identity on it, that I'm tough, I can handle it, I can do it, I'm the guy, I'm the one who can do it, I'm strong enough, I'm smarter, I'm confident. And so he always had this bravado about it. Jake, you got to go hit the weight room. You got to be like, and even when he was talking about Rom early on, he's like, my father's, is basically, I don't want to be like my father. Because he felt this bravado, this like confidence in himself and this really tough exterior that he never really let anybody penetrate until now. This is when we were able to see like a real level of vulnerability. I think we saw it in the the Red Squad episode a little bit too, But even then, he kind of got even more hardened because at the end of that episode, he was like, you know, uh, hardened even more, not so much in a vulnerable state. This is where we actually saw Nog open up and say, I'm scared. I'm,
Yeah.
I have this big fear, and and I don't know what to do." And he left himself kind of open, like saying, "This is my weak spot." And we never saw a weak spot on Nog before. He gets a short temper. He has an attitude. He does his tantrum. He won't talk to you. But we never saw him in full out soft, vulnerable, breaking down mode. And this was like,
right.
It lets you know how much pressure was on him all this time. Like how much, he even mentioned it in this episode. He talks about for the first time, I actually felt that it could happen to me. It happened to me. Like I always, saw it as it happened to other people. So in his mind, he was like how I think a lot of us at some point in our lives are when we're young. We feel invincible. We feel, infallible, invincible. We'll live forever. It's just like, you never broke a bone. Like I've never, experienced anything bad. So
Cirroc's never broken a bone. Fun fact.
Me neither.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
so you, yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's called balance.
Well, and I've even fallen down the stairs, so I'm a klutz. So
okay,
not breaking
but
a
you
bone.
land on your feet though. You still have the
well, I was kind of
like
bendy, so my leg was back here, but it didn't.
Oh wow, it didn't break.
break.
But yeah, I think that tough exterior that he's been wearing all this time is really kind of broken down in this episode, and I love to see the vulnerability. I think he opened us up to just how he felt, and he really had to dig deep to get this performance to pull this off, and this was like really well acted in my. I loved him
So
and James
good.
Darren bouncing off of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I wanted to.
That's
what I was really excited to hear from Cirroc, because you and I, Malissa, we already know about these scenes and Aron's acting and all that. And I was really excited for Cirroc to see Aron's big acting moments. Like the biggest Aron Eisenberg acting moments I think ever are in this episode, right? I can't think of any others that were up at this level. And so, Cirroc is an actor himself. I was just thinking, you're watching this going like, that's my guy. Aron's acting the shit out of this, and when I'm watching it, I'm picturing you watch it, and I'm like, anybody that's watching it for the first time, especially somebody that knew Aron personally, is going to take a lot of pride, I think, in this performance. And I hope you enjoyed it, because we all did.
I absolutely loved it. It was like I was watching. How much I love those old mob movies and stuff. It was like I was watching Casino, which is a great movie with Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro. It was like a little bit of Casino. It was a little bit of. I mean, it was just a little bit of everything I love. So I felt like I got all of it in one episode. And like I said, I kept pausing and rewinding it, and there were amazing moments that he did. I mean, one of the best scenes that I loved is when Vic tells him, "Hey, why don't you go back to your quarters?" And Nog says, "I don't want to go back to my quarters. Actually, I don't want to go back to my life."
That
I
was
like,
the
wow.
line, yeah.
I was like, wow, this, and the way he delivered it was amazing. And I just thought, there's a lot of people that sometimes feel that way. They get to a point in their life where they feel like that, like, oh God, this is just, I don't want to do this anymore. And they want to escape. And a lot of us try to, wish we could just, escape and run away from our problems and run away from whatever situation we're in. But, there is, at the end of the day, which is what Nog kind of learned in this, is that there is no escape. You have to kind of accept it, learn, and move forward. And think that was one of the beautiful things that Vic gave to him in this episode. It was so great that a non-corporeal, a non-living thing is telling a living thing about life,
how to live.
And I thought, yeah, and I was like, this is just this is what makes Star Trek, what makes Ron Moore and David Mack, and just the way they put it together. It's like a hologram is telling a person, a Ferengi in this case, about life, and I thought what a great kind of irony, and it couldn't have been a better platform or kind of setting for us to see Nog unfold these emotions.
So we got to jump into our break right now, but there's a lot of stuff to jump from on that, like Ronald D. Moore's writing, which I was really blown away with, because we think of him as the cool sci-fi writer, Battlestar Galactica, Dominion Wars, this and that, but he can write something with a lot of heart and a lot of non-sci-fi elements, even
within the sci-fi elements, because
right.
Outlander has a lot of heart in it.
Haven't seen it. Take your word for it. So we're going to take a super quick break, and we're going to watch Outlander real quick, and we'll be right back on The Seventh Rule. Hey, everybody. We are back on The Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton, of course.
Hello.
And Malissa Longo is here with a big smile.
Hi.
And a cool Ferengi shirt, by the way, that she made with her talents. Okay, very quickly, here are the Trivioids of the week. They are really great ones. You are going to love this. Julian and Miles have become even more obsessed with their Alamo program, if you can believe it. Every time I see Alamo in my notes, I want to say Alimo. But I catch myself. That's why there's a pause every time. I go, wait, okay, Alamo, that's right. Nog listens to the same song on repeat for 3 days. Rom is always bragging about his son, the Soldier Boy. Vic knows 15 different arrangements of I'll Be Seeing You. Nog needs to use a pencil. We'll never know if Vic dreams. Esri outranks Vic. By the way, everybody knows that. Nog wants to build a new casino. Rom got a promotion, maintenance engineer, first class. Vic is smarter than the average bear, and Vic's program is now 26/7.
Yeah.
Fun little touch there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
A fun tidbit or trivia, or Aaron, when this first came out, Aaron thought he did a horrible job in this episode.
Of course he did. That's Aaron.
Terribly.
Yeah.
Well, not only because of that, because when he started reading some reviews, there were some people who had said that, why do they have to make Nog so serious? Why isn't he precocious and scrappy and wanting him to be the same Nog from season 1 in in this episode that shows something that traumatic, sorry, that demonstrates trauma when somebody experiences it.
Must have been really validating for him then, for those reviews to kind of start turning around and for people to tell him what an amazing job he did.
Yeah. Well, then it was a pleasant surprise after he started going to conventions and veterans started to come up to him and say, thank you for your work in this episode. It's helped me immensely. And he was always touched by each and every one of those stories, because it meant so much that he actually did do a good job.
Was this the episode that people talked to him about the most?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that when they filmed this episode in 1998, the awareness about PTSD wasn't at the level that it has
Right.
become. And there was maybe even an insensitivity to people who were suffering from this kind of,
Mhm.
stress. And those people were marginalized and kind of set off to the side, and their real problems weren't addressed.
Still
So
to
there
this
are a lot
day.
of
Yeah.
people.
Right.
But it's certainly gotten
Right.
a lot better. You're right. But yeah, people in the military, people that have dealt with different forms of trauma, they're still to this day, fighting the good fight to get the kind of treatment and the understanding they need. And those of us that don't have that need to be a lot more supportive, like Nog's friends and family were, right? They weren't going like that, like Esri and Lita and Rom weren't going like, hey, just toughen up. Get, get back out there. They
Mhm.
all like were from the very beginning. When he came out, they said, you've got no duties, take your time, rest, whatever you need. Esri was great. Even Vic was great, and he's not real.
Mhm. Well, and that's why it was so awesome for them to all razz him when he first got off the ship,
Mhm.
to, giving him what he usually gave them. But he didn't really take
But
it
he
away.
said things that were real to me. I think one when he talked to Ezra, he said, "I know you're going to ask about my biosynthetic leg," which that was a great intro to it. He kind of said it right away, and then he said, "When I put my weight on it, it hurts."
Mhm.
Now you can't tell somebody what kind of pain is in their head, or
Right.
like somebody feels something, they feel something. Kawhi Leonard didn't play basketball for 2 years because he said, I can't play. And the doctor was saying, yes, you can. He said, no, I'm not. So when somebody feels something in themselves, you have to kind of trust them. So that was the first part I kind of identified with him when he's saying, this is how I
Absolutely.
feel. I know I'm supposed to walk
Mhm.
normal, but this is, I feel pain when I put pressure on it. So
Mhm.
who's gonna deny that? And I kind of felt for him on that. Um, but there were other moments too where he really walks you through the thought process of what he's going through, right? He talked about the hero thing bothered him a lot.
Mhm.
And even in the Northern Battle to the Strong episode, I think the hero thing bothered Jake. Like,
Yeah.
if
Mhm.
you don't feel like a hero, you don't want to be called a hero, and it bothers you even more. It just ticks, it just presses at the thing that you're trying to not deal with almost. Um, but I know people that are veterans that are some of the toughest people I know that I would, love to, if I had to be in the trenches, I would pick them. But
Mhm.
those people are tough, some of those people, particularly one man that I know, um, suffers from nightmares from his
Uh,
experience in Vietnam and all this stuff. And that stuff is real. Like, to this day, he can't have a good night's sleep unless he takes the right medication or, and sees the right counseling. So that's 30, 40 years after the fact, and people are still
Mhm.
dealing with this kind of stuff. So it's a very real thing. And they didn't play with it in this episode. They took it very serious. I'm sure Ron Moore understood this subject matter to a
mhm.
degree that he was very intimate with it, and he took it serious. Um, and then there was like this odd couple type of feel to watching the two of them kind of merge in there, sitting there watching. It was like the odd couple a little
Totally.
bit, right?
Yeah.
That was great.
um,
But then, like
It's
the
true.
scene behind Melissa here, where they're both when they had that musical montage and they were both flipping the pages of the newspaper, cutest thing I've
yeah,
ever seen. I,
So
I was just
cute.
like, I loved it. That whole
yeah,
that whole music montage was
I
glorious.
loved it too. I'm glad you
Mhm.
brought that up because I wrote
Mhm.
some of the when Nog lit the cigarette for the lady and he was smiling.
Oh my gosh.
I
Too.
yeah, my face lit up because that's his face when that's his
Yeah.
feel good face,
I've seen that
right?
too. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. He was
that
he was
one.
flirting. That was a flirt.
Yes.
It was a feel-good flirt face, and I was like, I've seen
Yep.
that flirt face before. That's it right there. And the other moment I thought was so beautiful was when Vic puts the blanket on Nog when he's sleeping. I was just like, oh, look at these guys, man. You know, they're just so
So cute. Yeah.
they're
Palling
just two
around.
peas in a pod. Yeah.
I love that Vic enjoyed it as much as Nog did. Like he got as much out of it as Nog did. And yeah, he's living life for the first time. And how wonderful is that? It's Nog giving him life. How great.
Yes.
I was very pleased with Vic, played by James Darren. You know, I hadn't really too much noticed that in the past when I watched these episodes. You know, I just kind of was watching it for the overall storyline. But I watched it, I was like, damn it, he really is a likable guy. Like he's really good, but not just all fluff and no substance. Like somebody he's saying the slang, he's cool, he's got no flaws, you know, not like that. He still had depth to him. He still was uncertain about things. He still had flaws. He still was moved and had a bit of his own arc. You know, Nog, you know, affected him. It wasn't just a one-way street, you know, like what you were saying, that the two of them really got something from each other, more so than just the final result, but just throughout the entire process. And it was really nice to see Jimmy Darren doing some really good acting and being very charismatic. And, you know, kudos to him for being a crooner that can also act, you know, and great job with the Deep Space Nine team for picking him and for nurturing that role and not making it just like a one-off, and then realizing that they had a little piece of gold in their hands and they wanted to hang on to it for a little longer.
Yeah, I was really noticing that in this past rewatch, because, you know, I was mostly focused on Nog, but in the past, but this past rewatch, I was like, gosh, he's doing some really great stuff. And his eyes were really cool to watch. And when he delivered a line, there was truth behind everything. And like Ryan was saying, there's charisma, but there's also caring and empathy. And he's a smart guy, which I was like, he's so good, and these two are really good together. They really play well off of each other.
Yes,
it was wonderful to watch.
It was so fun to watch. There were specific moments. I like when Jimmy Darren said, "Yeah, so you wanted me to play that song again? You want me to? So what do you want to do, kid? You want me to sing the song again?" And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "Good," because I was getting tired of it myself. And just the way he said, I looked at his face. It's like, wow, he's great delivery. Another moment when I was impressed was when, you know, Nog kind of says, "It's not real money, Vic," and Vic says, "It's real to me, kid."
Right, that was good. That worked because the writers sometimes have to hold our hand too and let us understand what the stakes are, because we might be thinking, what, you know, he's just a holodeck program, holosuite program, what does he care? We're not really taking him seriously, but we have to remind ourselves or be reminded that all of these things are real to him. The money's real to him, the business is real to him, the friendships are real to him. Even though he's a program, in his mind, all of these things, he's still going through all of these things, the stress of losing money, the excitement of meeting a new friend or building a new business or something, you know. So that was a good reminder. I did like that line a lot too.
And one last thing, not last, but another thing in addition that I wanted to point out for his excellent performance was when he did that scene with Esri, and Esri's like, "Oh, wow, there's no way that the casino is like, you're really trying to do the whole casino thing. That's just a ploy to get Nog to come back. I get it, right?" And you can see him registering it in his face. Like, oh man, I got to lose my best friend. And, you know, God, I don't want to, you know, but he's like, there's something bigger that I'm supposed to be trying to help him, but I'm actually having such a good time myself. and you can see him having to registering that and having to let go. Oh yeah, no, of course, no, you're right, no, of course.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying like the writers, specifically Ronald D. Moore, giving him the depth of, we see that's a flaw or a mistake on his part. Just he's getting caught up in the thing. He's kind of forgetting what the point of this whole thing is, because he's starting to get the big eyes. He's saying, this is fun, this is exciting, I'm getting caught up. And his character actually needs to be brought back down to earth as well.
Yes.
And kind of reminded of what this whole thing is actually about. And I thought that was a really good touch, because it makes him more real. And then it makes him real to us.
It sold it to me, because he had that ambition right away. He's like, hey, I could be bigger than Elvis right away. He has this ambition. He wants to be bigger than Elvis, right? and then later on, he says, Vic, I did the accounting. You got enough to open a casino? He was like, how much money do I got? Like, hey kid, I got casino money. And then them going through the blueprints and the montage, they both get caught up, and I love that they are both caught up, but they're caught up in Vic's dream, what he wants to do, like building the casino and making the place run efficiently, and it's the new Copacabana, and everybody loved this, and da 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 da. And Nog, I loved him getting caught up in it when he goes up to the bar and he tells him, "Hey, can you put a little less garnishes? Can you go easy with the garnishes? All right, people
look at this guy.
Want a drink, not a fruit salad." And I was like, "Hey, look at you." Look at this small boss, like like casino, So there was just moments there that I thought were great, and I had when Rom says, "That's holographic money, right?" Now it's like, we're making money. The place I did the accounting, we can triple our profits, and Nog's like, "Oh, like that's not real money, right?" Love that line. Love the delivery. I was laughing out loud because he's just so good at that. Just playing like, is it just me or is that dumb? But that was great. And I wanted to say, I thought it was the first time I heard Nog call Rom Dad. No, that was I wrote it down in my notes. First time I can remember, but it was a moment there when Lita says, "Rom got a promotion. He's engineer or something like that.
Yeah,
first
maintenance
engineer,
first class, something like that."
Yes, and he's like, "Congratulations, Dad." And it was the first time I heard him call him Dad. I don't remember him saying it, at least with that kind of lightness in his voice. It reminded me of Jake saying Dad. His dad says it, because he's proud of his dad, or he's happy for his dad, or there was a tone of love in the delivery that I thought was really special.
There was one other time in this season when he said, "That's my dad." And it was, "Take me out to the holosuite."
Yes.
That's my dad.
Yes, I knew it. There it is. So it's the second time.
Yeah. Now that was him calling him his dad to somebody else, not saying,
right,
"Hey, Dad." But that's true. I do remember, Cirroc, you made that point when we saw that you were saying, like, at the beginning of the first couple seasons, he was kind of ashamed of his dad. He was kind of embarrassed or ashamed or annoyed.
My father, I think he called him my father.
Right.
Early on.
Right. And then he slowly changed because his character changed and because Rom's character changed.
Yeah.
And so now he became somebody that he was proud of and wanted to call dad and wanted to brag about. So this is more evidence of that change.
Yes.
I'd like to also point out, Vic, what a great character moment for Vic when he makes the realization that Nog can't live here in the holosuite, and he doesn't wait. He rips the Band-Aid off almost immediately rather than drawing it out even further. And I thought that was a great moment for Vic, and showing how much he cares about Nog, and life, and living people, living beings, because that's what he wants to be too. He wants to be a real boy too.
Yeah. There was just so many good lines. Vic, when he says to him, "If you stay here, you're gonna die. Not right away, but just a little bit. You'll become as hollow." He says, "You'll become as hollow as I am."
Very good.
That was just like a really kind of special moment that he shared with him, and that preceded by Nog's big scene when he's crying, and when he's crying through all of that makeup, and I was just like, and he goes into the anything could happen to me, Vic. I could die tomorrow, and he's just like really exposing himself. First of all, I was just thinking how difficult it is to cry with a bunch of orange makeup and all of this stuff on your face, and still keep in character, and it just was like so amazing. So I just thought that performance right there was just stood out, and the moment the reaction and response from Vic was once again, like we were talking about earlier, so spot on. He didn't candy coat anything. He was always being direct with Nog and honest with him. And I love that about it.
Yeah, another couple of really fun lines for me was when Vic says, "I can't have you hitting the customers. It's not good for business." I don't know why that was funny, but I'm like, it's kind of putting it mildly. But yeah, or when he says Uncle Sam, and Nog says, "Sounds like my uncle." Also funny.
I love that.
But I wanted to point out also that you notice how Star Trek really embraced the difference in eras with the language that they used, right?
Yes.
So Vic is saying all of this old school slang, then Nog is trying to adopt some of that slang, and we're really highlighting the difference in slang, which is something that Star Trek of the 90s and the 80s and all that used to do so well. They would always let us know, we don't talk like we used to. This is a different future, a different timeline. And a lot of shows out there, sci-fi shows, they kind of talk like 2022.
Yeah.
And it takes me out of it. Like if somebody says, "I got you," or something like that, I'm always kind of like, or whatever happens to be the slang of the day. It kind of, it's possible that 400 years or 500 years or 10,000 years from now, people will still be talking the same. But for me, it's not possible, by the way. It's not.
But no,
but for me, I like it better when there's a clear difference in the way they speak and the way they don't speak. And it was nice to see them highlighting this in a fun way in this episode.
Same. Like when Nog said, "No, you can't go perform. Let's hang in tonight."
Yes,
and
exactly
Vic goes, "No, it's hang out, and I gotta work." But he adjusted to what he had learned. But I love that too. And I was about to say something else and I forgot. But yes, I love that they adopted the lingo from the era of Deep Space Nine and the 1962.
And then they flash to the scene when Jake is there with Keisha, and he says, she says, "We're just hanging out, and she's like, "Hanging out? What's that?" So right there,
out of where?
So Nog's he's already figured out the slang, and he's already incorporated. Now she's like left out of. She's like, "I don't know any of this." And I kind of in there with "Right, Daddy-O," and he's looking at me like,
one other cute line I wanted to point out was when Esri and Vic are talking initially, and he's like, "Oh, he can stay here with me," and she says, "Okay, but don't push him," And he says, "Do I look pushy to you?" And the funny thing is, that's a line that might not work unless it's delivered by the right person in the right way. He delivered it in the right way, and it was also the right person, because when he said, "Do I look pushy to you?" I looked at him, I was like, No, he really does
No.
not. And that works. I mean, they wrote that line specifically for him, because if somebody else said it, no matter how hard they tried to deliver it the right way, it's a feeling you get. And the impression and the feeling we get from James Darren playing Vic Fontaine is that no, he's not a pushy guy. He's a nice guy. He's going to go with the flow, and he's going to be super supportive. So I really like that line that was tailor-made to the actor, I think.
There was another line he did. He called Esri Dollface. Hi, Dollface. And it's like, he can get away with that. Not only that it's a period, but the way he delivers it. It's like, oh, I guess Dollface is another one of those words from the era.
But I love Vic's nickname for Nog. Noggles.
Yeah.
Noggles. I'm like, that's so cute. So cute. And when Nog says, I'm scared, when he blurts that out, I don't know what it is, but every single time I watch, the waterworks come. I'm just like, because he's like Cirroc had mentioned earlier in the episode, that's when he lets his walls fall down. And that's when he releases everything that he's been holding in for.
He makes himself extremely vulnerable, and all the blockers that he puts up, all the defense, he just lets himself expose himself as this fragile person that's unsure of what tomorrow is going to bring for him. And I think that was such a good play on that kind of a fear.
All right, let's
there was also
I was just going to say, let's put a pin in this real quick, because we got to jump to the other side on the free-for-all, but I know we got a lot more to say, so hang on to that for just a second. But before we do that, we'd like to give a very Vic Fontaine thank you to Homer Frizzell, Dr. Marie Segal, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackmon-Tom, Carmen, a.k.a. Skillet, Tim Baum, a.k.a. Grandpa One, TJ Jackson Bay, a.k.a. Grizzlies fan, #1 Grizzlies fan, that is, Bill Victor Arukin, Titus Muller, Darlena Marie John Mann, Dr. Muhammad Noor, Tierney C. Diekman, Anna Post, Rex A. Wood, Anil O. Palat, Erica Strom, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, DQ, Neil Akasaka, Justine Norton Kurtzen, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, and Edward Foltz, a.k.a. Crewman Guy. Let's not forget Dr. Susan V. Gruner. All right, we are going to go hit that free-for-all right now, everybody, so stick around. We'll be right back on the 7th Rule. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the 7th Rule with Cirroc, Lofton, and Malissa Longo.
Hello.
And a bunch of really cool free-for-all people, starting with TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri in a cool Kirk-looking shirt. We also have Anil O. Palat somewhere in the world. You never know where he is. Oh, cool. Nice. Abyssinian kiosk shirt, looks like. Good color. Faith Howell is here, floating around Deep Space Nine. Tierney C. Diekman is here. She and I are matching, but she's not trying to do a green screen, so her shirt isn't fading in and out as like mine is. Malissa Longo, is here. You can hear her giggle. Eve England out in Wales is also here. Homer Frizzell is here. We're going to try our best to impress him. Probably won't succeed, but we're going to do our best.
Background's awesome.
Goldu Scott is here, who has been a shining beacon for us with audio engineering. Thank you to him. Erica Strom is staying up late and sticking around. She just finished baking some cakes. Carrie Schwent's got a bunch of cool toys behind her. I think you said they were Care Bear stairs. Grandpa One is here. He's going to drop some knowledge on us today, as is Rex A. Wood. And we're looking forward to all of this very much, because this is a very special episode to a lot of people. But before we do that, Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score. Oh wait, I think your thing might be covering your mic a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Great.
Wow, this was a great episode. I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna give it a solid 9.
Does anybody else have any guesses as to what the IMDb universe gave this on average?
25?
Is there a score high enough? That's all I want to know.
Great.
I'm going to say 9.2.
That's what I was going to say. Not going to be conservative with this one. So good.
Faith, do you already know, or do you have a guess?
What, 25? Is that an option?
Barry Bond's number? Good number. What about you, Carrie? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, 9.2, 9.3 for sure.
All right. You know, I thought so too, you guys. I thought this was going to be one of their handful of 9 episodes, but it is an 8.2.
I know. I know.
What?
I saw
Eve is
that and I was
disgusted.
like,
Let's get in there and fix that.
It is disgusting. Oh.
Somebody was ripped off.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, this was December 30th, which was interesting. That means they had the 5 weeks off. But really, if it dropped on December 30th, then they were working. I don't know. Anyway, there was 5 weeks in between this and Covenant. But a lot of people felt ripped off by this score. And we're going to start with TJ Jackson Bay to tell us why this episode deserved higher than an 8.2. Unless you think it was lower.
Because this episode is a journey. I watched it, and at the end, I checked, like, the runtime was 45 minutes and 8 seconds or something. That includes the credits thing. And I'm like, this had to be longer than that. I was in this experience for longer than 45 minutes. And I did not make it through the teaser before, I started getting hit in the feels. The whole episode was so well acted, but just right there at the beginning with Lita and Ram, kind of, having this reaction of, I want to, not say the wrong things, and I want to be, the best I can be for him when he comes in. And then, when he comes in, Aron acted this so well that it was just so real. And so I just went right to the heart. And I enjoyed, of course, all of the scenes in Vic's and just kind of watching Nog take this journey. I thought it was, super interesting were the scenes between Esri and Vic, especially when Vic stands up for Nog and is like, look, he's not ready yet. And in that scene, I'm imagining like, okay, this is the future, and they haven't really had a hologram like Vic yet. They didn't have the doctor, or I don't think she worked with Data. So this is like she's taking advice from, technology that she's not familiar with, and so she probably, I think, had her own journey of growing in appreciation for technology that has, this kind of intelligence, this self-awareness, and ability to adapt to the world around them, which Vic has and demonstrates, remarkably in every scene that he's in. And then, kind of the flip around where she's kind of figured Vic out a little bit. And so the next time she approaches him about this, she's like, yeah, you're just doing this as a ploy, right? But Vic has kind of gotten taken away. And he's like, oh yeah. But, the scene where, Vic turns himself off. Yeah, it's another one that hits me right in the chest. And the conversation that they have after Chief O'Brien leaves, like chef's kiss on this episode. This episode is definitely more than an 8.2, and we must rise up against those who don't.
Let TJ throw the first stone.
Yes, I will cast the stone on this one. I 100% stand behind that.
Sounds like the final countdown. Oh no, it's
Somebody.
it's
Europe.
No, I think that was Discovery.
It's Discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Europe.
All right.
That beat my phone ringing.
Oh, you got Discovery as your ringtone? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do. Isn't that amazing?
Yep. Shout out to Discovery.
Yes.
All right. Was that everything, TJ? Did we get everything from you?
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to the real experts on this one.
Nice. That means the pressure's on. Anil O. Palat here, all the way out from somewhere in the world. We never really know. Did you love this episode or what?
Yeah, I mean, this is a special episode. Every time you watch it, someone's chopping onions nearby somehow, and your eyes get watery, right? It's one of those. And there's something about Nog, right? Like Ira mentioned it a couple episodes ago. There's something about him that you connect with, and I feel like there's something in Aron's eyes. I don't know what it is, but like when Nog is hurting, we're hurting. You really feel it.
Yeah.
And there's a thing that I noticed. It was a small thing, but Nog has like a heh, like I don't know. It's kind of like a laugh. I can't really do it, and it can be like a happy one. It can be like when he's trying to cheer like Jacob, or when he's not confident. It's like a little heh, like he adds. In this episode, it's not there until the very end, when he's back in a Starfleet uniform and he's talking to Vic. And it's just like a small thing that, because he's so lifeless when he gets off the transport in the beginning, and you're like, there's a lot missing, right? Like he's so down and everything, but there's this little thing that's part of his character that's just gone, and you really, really feel it. So yeah, it's a great episode, great acting. I love how everybody's involved, even Chief O'Brien at the end, when he gives that, he's like, we miss you, Nops. He's not a very sensitive guy. I don't think O'Brien is. He's not very, he's not going to really talk to you. But for him, that was a lot. Like that was his way of saying, we hope you come back, and, we're supporting you. So I loved it. And yeah, Esri was really great too. Like she was really competent, right? She was at the right distance throughout, right? So she wasn't, she knew where to be to push him along, but not to get too close and, derail his recovery. And so, yeah, fantastic episode. It should definitely be a 10. I mean, it's not an 8.2 for sure.
Yeah, that was in O'Brien speak. That's pouring your heart out, basically.
Yeah.
But Cirroc has definitely mentioned the Aron Eisenberg / Nog heh a few times on this show, right?
Yes, and I think that was a great observation, Anil, because yeah, when he's in his mode and his comfort element, he does add that extra little ad lib in his conversation for any purpose. Like you said, could be positive, could be negative. It could reveal a nervous tick or his nervousness, or it could mean so many different things. But he's so good at that. In this, he did play it a lot straight in the beginning. Obviously, he wasn't himself, but he was, out of it mentally. So I did like the evolution of bringing that back and seeing the life coming back into Nog.
All right, somebody who also has an iconic laugh, Eve England out in Wales. If you're really good, sometimes she will show it or display it. Wait. What did you think about this episode? Did you love it or what?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to love about this episode, and I'll leave it to some of the other guys just talk about some of the more emotional stuff. But I just love the aesthetics of the mid-century period anyway. So having an entire episode based on Vic and his club with all of the detail and sort of little small things that you sort of see that comes with that is a massive treat for me. I just love the soundtrack, the easy listening music really just has a sort of wonderful sense of nostalgia and sort of gives you that serenity that kind of reflects and mirrors the journey that Nog is having during his time with Vic. So I think that just worked really well. And I particularly loved how they used that sort of the Vic Fontaine piano motif sort of throughout, and is punctuating different scenes. And then you had that little tinkle at the very end of the episode.
Yes.
And I just think, it was just so magical. And it's just such a heartwarming episode. I think, as TJ said, it just has that heart, the whole episode, the way everything sort of comes together, using that sort of mid-century sort of nostalgia, I think really works well for that. I think what particularly stood out for me when I was just rewatching it was, the importance of that affirmation that Nog makes at the end in response to the question, is he okay? And it's, well, no, but I will be. And I just thought that was just, so relevant to all of us, in terms of emphasizing that, whatever anyone's going through, whether it's something that, I'm sure Tim and Rex will come on to talk about, or something totally different, you just have to have that reflection that things aren't always going to be easy. And that actually that having that sort of acceptance of that fact is really what you will need to kind of help you to move on and to actually go on a sort of recovery journey. So I just thought that was just that. So I've never really thought of it in that sense before this sort of rewatch, which I thought was really interesting. But just overall, it's just a really beautiful episode, and totally agree with everyone else. It definitely should be a 10, and I'm sure Sue and Anne-Marie would be absolutely livid with that sort of 8.2 score.
Livid. Well, since you name-checked Sue, it's a non-appearance mention for Sue. That's a couple things. Number one is, she would be freaking out that it's not a 10 for sure. She also messaged us, and because she did mention the same thing about the little piano tinkle, as you put it, at the very end, which I hadn't noticed until she messaged that. And she said, as Eve would say, I'm gutted I can't be at the free-for-all. That is definitely an Eve word. I bet Erica Strom has used it before. But she also said very quickly, this is a shining example of how good Deep Space Nine was and still is. Why does Nog wear his clothes to bed, including his boots? That was fun. And then she also mentioned, again, the piano was a fabulous detail. And she says, I wonder if it became standard issue for all Ferengi in Starfleet. Anyway, that is interesting that in Star Trek, they kind of go to bed in their uniforms a lot of time. But Tierney C. Diekman is also here. She's been known to go to bed in uniforms as well when she's off duty on Starfleet. Did you love this episode, or what do you think? You probably didn't really that much, right?
Love is one of the many positive words for how I feel about this episode. Lots of singing. Of all the Vic episodes, this one, singing all week, thinking about it. The music era. And yes, the mid-century this is a great realm for a bottle episode. Because if you notice, like some of the others too, that make you feel closed in, which is a very good motif of trauma and trauma recovery too, is that closed in feeling of reality. I don't know if we get any establishing shots, except for there might be one with that little piano motif at the end.
That's a good point.
Is that my microphone making a noise?
I don't know.
You might be hearing the road with Rex. But the main things that you can take away from this are vast. Like TJ had said, they cram so much in, and then James and I were talking about it earlier today, of the level of accuracy that they can bring into just this small amount of time in this setting, again, of like the baseball episode, how at home we feel with these characters, that we can get to this level of feeling pain with them, and a hologram along with them. Is this real? I'm losing my train of thought here. The level of accuracy of trauma in just this bit. And I know if you look into any information from this, just little bits, that Aron had said that he'd gotten a lot of, feedback from combat vets in particular, which is amazing. And if you look at when this premiered, it's a little different now, looking at it from the lens where trauma, especially for vets, is much more well known and accepted and talked about. Trauma for normal incidents, from the minor to major things, and how they affect individual people and their level of perception and emotional connections, is now much more understood, and it's still trivialized. But this premiering then, where vets were getting so little recognition, is another testament to DS9, to Ira, to the writers, that this came about. So it's something I always try to remember when rewatching these, of when this came out, and even if I was a kid, but just kind of trying to remember what the climate was like during that time, and even doing some looking into it. But one scene that really stood out, that hit me personally super hard, was when Jake comes in with the date, and Nog is there, and he's in this reality now. This is his recovery reality. And I really love how they didn't portray it like they could have with so many other people that are recovering from trauma. There's a big difference between going through a trauma and healing from it. And the healing is the hard part, because it never ends. It never stops. And you have to check out. You will check out. Your entire world has changed. Your whole view of the world is different in an instant. Everything is different. And they didn't go some standard TV drama route of, let's just make him a raging alcoholic. Let's just find the typical thing. Not everyone who goes through something becomes that sort of negative stereotype when they need to step away from reality, because it does have aspects in healing. Dissociation, just in general, minor dissociation, is very, very healthy and normal. When you're this bad, this was a great way to show where he could go to heal, and that Esri allows that, and everything is also phenomenal even for the time. But he's there, and Jake comes in, and Nog is just in his reality. His windows out to the world are blurred by this. This is all he sees. This is all he feels. So all he can think is, the date is there as Jake goes off to get the drinks, and she just glances over to the side for a moment. All he can think, because everything in him is also projecting outwards, is that she must be looking at me, thinking of the leg. Which one is it? She's going to call me a hero. She's everything in an instant, that thought, because that's what reality is. And there's a very fine line between a healthy check out of reality for your own safety and healing, and it becoming a barrier between actual healing and actual life. And they ride very close to that, even with Vic going, oh yeah, I'm still helping him. That's what's happening here. This is therapy. Not, I've got my friend here, I'm around all the time, we're building a new casino, and Esri comes in, and it's like, is she reverse psychology in him here?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got it all under control.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I wrote that down.
And it's this great moment, and he's just like, oh, shit. And Vic knows, and he does what also has to happen a lot of times with anyone that you might want to be on eggshells a bit, because you don't want to hurt them anymore. But they also have to come back for their own good of, listen, kid, you can't do this anymore. Like, this is great. This is wonderful. But you got to remember what your life is. and that it's okay that you went through this, and it's okay that it was awful. And he still pushes back, and he rejects it at first, and he's trying to fix the holosuite, and he's doing what he can. And even Chief comes in and just reminds him with that bit of, we all miss you on ops. Your life is out here. We all miss you. You know, Rom gets the promotion. We had a party, and oh, well, it was busy that night. You know, he's there. And then he finally hits it, and Aron gives this performance that is the most real thing. Besides just the character growth, growing as an actor, anything that he breaks, and it doesn't matter how major or minor it is when you need to heal, it's the admittance, I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm friggin' terrified that I can't do this anymore. Everything is different. It's like I just went temporarily blind and nothing looks the same anymore. There are no more filters. There's no more rose-colored glasses. How do I get back to my life now when nothing seems worth it? Because I could be gone at any moment. Yeah, but we all could be, and it's awful. It's horrible, but what's the point of acknowledging that and then not doing anything with what you have, the time that you have? And I never had the pleasure of meeting Aron. Genuine pleasure, as everyone who's met him has seemed to have had, that he took
Totally.
every single instance of his life and made it incredible for everyone around him and not just himself. Not a lot of people can do that. Not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of practice, and some just don't get there. This shows a way that he overcomes, and there's just those couple beautiful moments. And Malissa, I'm sorry if this is super awkward, but they come out, and he comes out finally. He comes down the stairs, and there's that family hug with all of them. And I'm sitting there, and Jim and I are both in tears at this point, rewatching it. We always are with this one. And I said, it looks like Melissa should be there.
Aw.
It's all I could think was like,
Let's petition them to add her digitally.
Seriously, like somebody with good, digital video skills, go and do that, because I imagine you with that family, with the Frank family. And it kind of, even the thought itself even kind of surprised me of it. Just, it would seem so natural if you just came out and were part of this hug. And giving myself goosebumps now just thinking about it, trying not to cry on camera. But
I was there in the 90s watching, so so I was there in a sense. And yeah.
Did he talk about this episode?
Yeah, quite a bit. And the wonderful thing about Aron is that he enjoyed hearing other people's stories and learning from other people, and how this episode affected them and the trauma that they've been through and they've experienced, mostly veterans, but there's all kinds of trauma out there that exists that many of us are struggling through. So, to heal from. So, and he was interested in each and every story of healing and growth. So
I'm trying not to cry.
Right.
So the very last thing, Cirroc, when you had to yell at Aron and take away his Vic records, was that weird? Like, because I don't recall any other moments where you really were like at each other in the show in a while, and it was a harsh like, just you can't take it anymore.
Yeah, I was fed up with it. The thing, the one thing I did like is that there were moments when people weren't sugarcoating stuff for Nog, and I think Jake is like, that moment was one of those moments. And I think part of me thought, I think if you're going through that, you want somebody to give it to you, to be blunt and real and honest and straightforward, instead of like, trying to pretend that they don't see your leg or whatever it is. It's kind of like just get it over with and be blunt or be honest and speak freely. And I think that the people that truly love you or are close to you will say things like that. Like, dude, like I'm not gonna just put up with this just because you're in this situation. I can't handle this anymore. I've already done 3 days work and this is enough. I've reached my tolerance level. So I thought that was kind of a real friend thing to do for him. But yeah, no, it's easy to yell at Nog because he gets under your skin really. He's very good at getting under your skin.
Oh,
Yeah, it's easy to yell at him.
No,
well, he'll dish it out too. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he punched the shit out of you.
he sure did.
All right. Well, speaking of
Yeah.
dishing it out, we know who's next, who's definitely going to dish it out. Faith Howell. She's like, I did not think you were coming to me with that.
No, I did not think you were going to do that one.
Faith knows what's up.
So I think my favorite thing about Deep Space Nine in general is that every time I do a pass, I take something else from it. I really enjoyed when I got married. My husband is from Korea, so he's from a completely different culture. And at that point in my life, I really liked watching Keiko and O'Brien and how they kind of sort out, where they're going to live and how they're going to balance his work and her work and things like that. And so I really feel like Deep Space Nine has given me a soft place to land in the better times and in the harder times. And this is one of those episodes that has caught me in harder times. And I'm going to try really hard not to cry, do my best. But I think for me, it's that speech he gives at the end where he says, I wasn't, what was his words? I wasn't something, but I was eager. And I feel like for me, not to get too into the gory details, but my past trauma has to do with the birth of our first child and being overseas and not being able to, the doctors couldn't understand me. I couldn't understand the doctors. My husband wasn't allowed to be there. And there were some things that got lost in translation. And some bad things happen. And unfortunately that I have some trauma, but my son is paying the price long-term and he'll have lifelong challenges. So that's a constant reminder and one that I've had to work through over time. And so I, that as a young woman, especially, you go in and you don't think about all the terrible things that can happen when you're having a baby. You just think, I just got married. I'm, ready to start my family. And that's what you're supposed to do. It's exciting and wonderful. And it's supposed to be wonderful. And then when it's not, kind of like, Nog has just gotten into this career choice and it's not quite as wonderful as he expected it to be. That's a big thing to have to work through, even without, the trauma of losing a leg. But that change of expectation for the way you saw your life going is a big trauma. I also really liked that it wasn't Esri working him through that because she was there when it happened. She's part of the trauma. And Vic, in as much as he is a hologram and not a real person, on paper, he is a real person in that he is the same way that a counselor would be for one of us, somebody that is real and understands how life works and has that skill set, but isn't part of your day-to-day life. There's somebody that you go and can see and visit and get advice from and talk you through, and then you can leave. And whether he wanted to leave or not, in the same way, maybe some of us stay in therapy longer than we should, I don't know, but I think that it was a great choice for them to have him there and have him be the one that helps Nog through that. One more thing I wanted to add. And the music. That's a thing. I don't know if everybody does that or a significant portion, but I have certain songs for every trauma in my life, and when I play that song, like, it takes me back, but not always in a negative way. Sometimes I can get through the song, and sometimes I'm like, nope, not doing that on the way to work. I wanted to call out, this is more for Jake than it is for Cirroc, but 6 months for sure. Like, when my dog died, not even when my son was born, when my dog died, 6 months of Into the West for Ryan there. I don't know, you know that song. Annie Lennox. No, the end theme of cool, Return of the King. Come on, you know.
Oh, yes, then yes. I do, of course. Annie Lennox.
Yes, so you know, when my dog died, 6 months in the car bawling every time I was in the car nonstop. 6 months. So 3 days, wow. Man, you can stick it out a little longer.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is cool, so
yeah.
Maybe he would have loved it.
I just don't know why they don't have headphones.
I know, especially for those ears. You think he could at least turn it down a little where you couldn't hear it, but he could hear it. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's got something to do with the silence.
Well, also, if he's recreating kind of the scene where he first heard the song, the doctor was blasting, the song while that incident was going on. So there's a thought. He was recreating that. It had to be loud to put himself back in that moment.
Speaking of excellent points,
that or soundproof cubicles. You know, you would think that that my room would be soundproof at least. The room.
It's 90s future. Yeah, we didn't know.
There's no logic in sci-fi.
All right, Grandpa One, aka Tim Baum. How are you? Thanks so much for joining us today. We know episodes like this can be a little tougher and kind of bring up some thoughts that most of us have not had. How are you?
Getting better. I still have the brain fog and the fatigue
from COVID.
Yeah, it was scary. It hit me hard. My oxygen dropped into the upper 70s. But and because I have emphysema, that's so I have an underlying condition. But no, this episode is the reason why I'm here. Both. And two, it's the reason why I got involved with the seventh rule. It's also the reason why I'm still alive. Before I get into the episode, I wanted to point out that, I'll Be Seeing You has special meaning from 40 some years ago, but I've always loved that music. And when I came back from Afghanistan, I was still a chain smoker, and some of you know my drinking exploits. So I was a hard drinker. Well, I still am a hard drinker. But if I had a place to escape to, it would have been Vic Fontaine. Get in a tux, sit and listen to music, drink martini, and chain smoke. Back in the 60s, you could do that. So that's one of the things that I can identify with. So I've got some notes here. It's like, okay, starting in the first scene, when he comes back, they were like, you have no duties except to report for the party.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm tired. I just want to be alone. When I first got back, of course, the first few days I made the rounds to my different locals. It was great to see everybody. I had been gone for a while.
You mean when you first got back from your tour?
Afghanistan. Okay. Yeah. July 4th, 2013. Before I forget, the guys behind me, and I'm the one that still has the shirt on, are the ones that gave me the Grandpa One.
Nice.
Nickname. So
it's your grandsons. Sweet.
Yeah. And literally when that picture was taken, I was 50 and these guys were probably 22. So, if even that, but when I first came back, it was great to hang with everybody. But after a few days, I wanted to go to the pub and just sit and have a beer. And I wanted to be alone. And people would still continue, I found myself going to places that nobody knew me. And so I could just sit quietly, maybe watch some sports. I didn't have to answer questions about Afghanistan or combat or anything. And that leads into the scene when Nog is with Esri, and he says, "I'm really sick of talking about my feelings." When I got back, I was contacted by PHOP. I think that's the acronym. Tierney might know it, but it's Navy Psychological Health Outreach Program. And so I was on 30 days leave when I got back. So they called me, and she was just like asking questions. How's it going? Are you having trouble sleeping? Da, 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 da. Well, after 2 or 3 calls, she called me, and I said, well, honestly, yeah, I am having trouble sleeping. And she said, since you answered in the affirmative, I need to read this. And she started reading from a fucking script. And I hung up. And 2 days later, I got an email saying case closed because sailor unresponsive. I'm like,
oh, way to try.
Yeah, just
Spoiler, they don't just do that for sailors. It's a similar program for spouses when they know that you've gone through anything, and it's basically pamphlets that they read through. And I am so sorry, Tim.
No. Well, I did when I was, they call it redeploying, when I was going through the gauntlet when I got back, and it happened to be in Gulfport, Mississippi. Of course, you go through the doctor and all this, and then you meet with a civilian social worker. And I can't believe I said this, but first thing she asked me was, did you see dead bodies? And I'm like, I kind of laughed, and I'm like, yeah. And she goes, what did you think? And I used a line from Full Metal Jacket. I said, better him than me. And she spent 5 minutes furiously writing. And I'm like, oh God, what the hell is she writing down there? This guy's psycho. But no, that, when Nog said, I'm just tired of talking about my feelings. Mm-hmm. And I just want to chill. And Cirroc stole my one line because why don't you get a holo suite? And I'm like, they don't have headphones in the 24th century. Put your AirPods in. But when he went into the Vic Fontaine world, I really identified, because like I mentioned, that's my music. That's where I would have gone to escape. One scene, I had to put this in my notes, but when they were bashing Bashir, they're talking about another one of his stupid programs, the Gladiators, where he's like, hey, quit. It's like, I thought, and the one line where, he mentions, and he's talking about, it's like, sometimes the mind kind of guides you on how to heal yourself. And this was part of the path where he needed to escape reality to help the healing process. I did mention I put in my notes the overturned table. Mm-hmm. I know we've come off the longest period of war. There's not as many returning warriors as was. But the one thing, a public service announcement, never ask somebody if they've killed somebody. For some reason, morbid assholes want to know everything. And that tends to lead to overturned tables and punches thrown, supposedly.
Not that you've ever seen or done it yourself.
No. There's actually one bar I can't go to anymore. But anyway, so that the final scene his monologue is what struck me with the first time I heard it when I came back, for several reasons. One, he said he wasn't eager to go. Well, I'm career military, but I wasn't eager to go to war. I know there's some people that are. And I got my orders when I was 49 years old, and they were IA orders, which is individual augmentee, meaning they pick people from around the world to come together for a unit. It involved 3.5 months training, which was advanced combat training. And, I'm 49 years old. I was double the age of more than double the age, almost everybody in that unit. And before I deployed for the training, some of my quote friends, they're like, did they check your birth date when they gave you these orders? And it was physically rough for me. But I was like, I am going to do this. I'm going to prove them wrong. I ended up tearing my rotator cuff, but I kept quiet about it. So yeah, I can understand. It's like, I wasn't gung-ho, but I wanted to prove myself. And the thing that struck me was there were some times where I had some fear when I was over there, but the adrenaline, the thing that struck me is when I got back, it's like, holy shit, I just survived a year in a remote base in Afghanistan. You somewhat feel invincible. But then reality strikes when you see the news. Oh, somebody killed when a guy ran a red light. Well, hell, now just going out to dinner or going to the mall could get you killed. It's like, the son of a bitch, I survived Afghanistan only just to get, taken out by a car accident. And that scares the shit out of you. And you do want to just pull away and just become a hermit. It's like, at least over there, I had body armor and weapons, but, and it's scary. I do want to point out, to change the subject a little bit, you do sleep in your uniform with your boots on.
We were wondering, but that's to be ready, right?
Well, yeah. Actually, it's one of my favorite episodes. Or not favorite episodes, favorite thing that happened in Afghanistan. I was about 2 weeks from rotating out. And because of one of my jobs, I had to take a helo up to Shindad, which is a big base north of us. And I had about 9 hours to kill before I could get a flight back. And they had it was late at night. And by the way, the best transient tents of all of Afghanistan, clean and everything. So, I checked in and there was about 20 other people there and they were all new. And I'd been there over a year. And you start hearing explosions. And pretty soon the horn went off and said, incoming, take shelter. And so all these guys that had just come into the country, they're getting their boots on and everything because we were all laying down. And it's like, I'm just laying there. And this one Army lieutenant said, are you going to get up? And I said, nah. I said, just bring me back a cup of coffee when it's over. And so they all went to the bunkers and I just slept through it. And son of a bitch, the guy brought me back a cup of coffee when they did the all clear. So it's like, but yeah, after a while, it's like, okay, whatever. There's explosions all the time happening to you. But yeah, you do sleep in your uniform. You sometimes take your boots off, but it's just so much easier.
Wow.
Well,
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was going to say, I did notice that he had his socks on, not his boots on when he got out of the bed, because they were a different color from the boots.
Well, one thing that reminded me of is, first of all, I wish I could have thanked Aron in person because this episode did save my life when I was in deep depression from the PTSD. But the other thing that happened, and one of the reasons I'm involved with you guys, about 3 years ago, before I was ready to retire, my mentor and friend, who was Master Chief, who retired before me, one of the things he told me is, before you retire, you need to start finding new friends. And I was like, huh? He goes, all your friends are sailors. And you'll stay in touch for a little while after, but then they're still in and you grow apart. And one of the things is I found the seventh rule. I've never met any of you in person, but I consider you friends. Scott gets drunk texts from me at 2 a.m.
Lucky.
I understand, bro. I understand.
When I'm having a bad night. And I also got involved with the local Liverpool supporters group, which has become one of my safety nets here.
Very involved.
And so, yeah. But that's, all because of this episode is how I became involved in this.
Wow.
Well, Tim, thank you very much for choosing us. You've definitely enriched our lives in more ways than can be said. And we really love having you. Really cool that you joined in with us and that you're always willing to share your thoughts and your feelings with us and occasionally laugh at our dumb jokes. You do sometimes. There it is. Thank you. There it is. We do appreciate that too.
I love that.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you, Tim. Really appreciate that. Erica Strom, thank you so much for staying up so late out in the UK. How are you today? And did you love this episode?
Fine. Yeah, but how the hell can I follow that?
I don't know.
Can I go on one negative first, though? Please don't hate me. Even though I love Vic's character, I'm really not a fan of the swing music. So, I nearly wasn't going to watch it, but I had to. I know. I was so pleased I did. Because it is very, very close to my heart as well. I think it was 1996 I got kneecapped. And, it helped me along. Looking at different avenues, I have those safety nets and things like that. I mean, what made me laugh was when I did meet Aron and I was trying to get up the stairs, which I should have used the lift, but I wanted to do the stairs because I'm a stubborn cow. And Aron was the other side of the stairs, and then he turned around and he says, "Rachel." I said, right. So I tried to trip him with my walking stick. It was all in good fun. I didn't do it, and I wouldn't have done it, but yeah. But no, it hit on quite a few things that had happened with myself, and it's all the traumas that go with it as well. The mind is a weird and wonderful thing. I wish I understood it myself. But the things it makes you do. I finished up as a hermit for 18 years. And it was conventions that got me out and about. So I'm pleased to be part of this, everything that goes on. And I am so missing conventions at the minute. I wish I could go over to America to do it, but through other traumas as well, I can't travel. I love flying, but can't travel. So it really does hit the spot. I think I cried nearly all the way through this episode the first time I saw it. So, and I still cry when I see it again. You just can't help it. It just puts that lump in the throat. But yeah, it's. I know it was mentioned in the past, but like say, how are you? Are you okay? I will be, and you will be definitely in the end. But things can make you stronger as well. So But, you know, in the convention scene, I mean, I even organised conventions as well. So, you know, I get pretty occupied now.
Good.
But people didn't want to employ a cripple. They think something's wrong with the brain. But, you know, and it was the era, 1996. And, yeah, there wasn't a lot of things about that helped you. Not so much then as what there is now.
Yeah.
But,
well,
yeah.
We hope to see you in America at a convention soon. Otherwise, we're going to have to go up to jolly old
I've been
England
looking at,
and see you
how
and
they
Eve
got
at
Mr.
the
T
next one.
over. Yeah, I'm looking at how they got Mr. T over in the 18. So, yeah, if anyone wants to hit me over the head with a bat or...
Well, who wants to follow that? I think it's Homer Frizzell. He was more of a Murdoch guy, I think.
Thanks, Ryan. No, I love it when a plan comes together.
Hannibal. Excellent.
Yes, I'm more of a Hannibal guy. I just want to talk a little bit about Vic Fontaine and kind of how he all of a sudden gets a life outside of his regular like gigs, and how he was like, yeah, I have a spare room. So he was very receptive to having this roommate when he had no one except for maybe the occasional party when, I don't know, maybe the program was left running or something like that. And just the 1962 Vegas knowledge and how that works so well on Nog. And towards the end, at the very end, pretty much when he's talking about, you know, quintessential Vegas, it's, you know, you're in the game, and he's not even in the game. And so you have to play the cards that you're dealt. And so for him to get that 26-hour left on, I have no idea how that was arranged with Quark. I don't believe it, but anyway, it did. For him to get that, I'm like, that is fantastic. I have two quick things. One, Potsy directed this episode.
Yeah, we did not get into that. We did not mention that. Good knowledge.
I'd be curious to hear how he was to work with Anson Williams. And the other thing is, I know, Cirroc, you had a stunt double, so it wouldn't have been Aron saying, let's turn over the table again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And then a great use of a deleted scene from AR 558 with Bashir talking about that song. That was wonderful. It was great. I'm glad they had it. And I'd be happy to hear a little bit about Anson Williams.
I know that Aron loved working with Anson Williams. He introduced me to Anson at a convention, and he was one of those special people, you know, the people that made an impact on him. So he really enjoyed working with Anson.
Yeah, also the fact that when, you know, Anson having the experience that he did growing up on the show and being an actor himself, I think when actors direct, especially his age, kind of relating to the age that Aron and I were when we were acting, I think that made him understand kind of how to talk to us and relate with us even more. I felt close to him because he had that experience. It was like he knew what we had done and what we were going through. I think that's what makes him just a good director in general.
Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. All right. Goldu Scott is also here. What is up, Goldu Scott? And then Carrie's up next after him. She's making deals right now in the live chat, and they're good deals, by the way. We're all behind you. What do you got for us, Scott?
Oh, man, there's so much that echo a lot of stuff that everybody says, but I want to start off with two kind of funny things. That maniac look in Jake's eyes when he jumped up out of that bed. Like, I don't think I ever caught that before. hyper pissed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if something went on behind the scenes to really piss you off, dude, but that was intense. I stopped because I intentionally watched this episode for serious reasons while I was in the break room at work while they were redoing some electrical stuff behind me, and it was super loud, and there were a bunch of people I didn't know walking back and forth because I needed that safety net to not start blubbering when I was watching this. But so I laughed out loud, and everybody kind of turned around and looked at me, and I was just like, "What?"
You wouldn't understand.
Jake's mad, looking at my little phone. Yeah, Jake's pissed.
I noticed that too. I was like, a little bit of the paw rape looks like they're still in.
Yeah, this is lingering. I don't know. Has a linear chip and just chuck it right out of there.
That's Tim's new nickname, Grandpa Wraith. Anyways, no, he says no.
No.
Especially not after the last week's episode. No way.
Cost emoji one.
But also, I think Felix is probably the most unsung hero Nam out of everybody, because we never seen this dude, and he made Vic Fontaine.
He wasn't in this episode, though, right? They didn't mention him.
No, I mean, he's never in any of it. You never see Felix. And
but, I mean, they didn't mention him, did they?
Mention his name either, no. But they mentioned all of the programs that apparently Julian's just copping from him. But what an unsung hero this guy is, man, because, like, I don't know how everybody would have made it through season 7 without Vic, without Outlet. And to me, and personally, I, again, have been through some ridiculous stuff these last 3 years that I never thought that this kind of stuff would happen to me in my 40s. I thought that kind of stuff was the thing that I would be, grown and strong enough to survive at that point. But there's been, some pretty crazy crap in the last 3 years. And for me, that mild disassociation that we have spoken about and the escapism that you feel, particularly with music for me, is unspeakable how important that is. I can point out, one record after another that has helped carry me through these last, the traumas of these last 3 years. And particularly relating with Nog's experience, because I have one record that I have played over and over and over and over and over and over like he has, and hearing different arrangements of songs, and it being different every single time. Even though, I did wear earphones, so I don't think I drove anybody. My roommates aren't ready to keep me, but I have some headphones for that. But I definitely, I really related a lot, and I knew I was going to more this time because this is the first time that I have watched this episode since the events, which I like to refer to them as. So I knew it was going to be difficult. So watching it at work was a nice safety net to fall back on. But I was particularly struck this time with Aron's performance, because a lot of the fun memories that we have of Nog, or just the great memories we have of Nog, are very much the boisterous, because I don't want to end up like my father, or because of all the funny, the hijinks that he and Jake got into. And in this one, Aron was so delicate with so many of the things that he did. And just that last soul rendering scene right there, all of the work that he did through all of that rubber on his face, just around here, was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And a true testament to anybody who puts on that makeup, or anybody that has ever acted. I think that this should be the scene that they sit everybody down in sci-fi that's going to have a prosthetic on and say, just watch this, just watch that, and keep that in mind. So yeah, this one, it definitely hit a lot harder, and I'm very thankful for it. And Tim, I am super thankful most for this episode because it kept you around, dude.
Yes,
and because I 100% believe personally that the reason that this episode kept you around is because you are going to keep other people around. Other people are going to hear you and hear what you got to say and see what you have gotten through, and that's going to help inspire them to carry it too. And like the important part of, I believe, Chief O'Brien coming in there at that point is because Miles has seen what Nog has seen at that point, and I believe that's how he knew how to talk to him like that.
Exactly.
Drop it and let it go. So yeah, so many delicate little things in this episode. So
Yeah.
I think
Well, like I said, one of the things I forgot to mention, because of my tinnitus, I listen to TV episodes when I sleep. And this is one that I listen to quite a bit. And I think my wife told me, it's been a while ago, that like I started singing, I got the world on a string. And she goes, it was actually pretty good. I was sound asleep and I'm singing along to Vic Fontaine. So
oh yeah, man.
That's great.
I like that.
It's amazing.
Good stuff. Thanks for that, Scott. Carrie Schwent, how are you? How are the Care Bears? Please let us know how you feel about this episode.
The Care Bears are excellent. I even have a little baby Care Bear for my nitpick here in a moment.
That's the mad one. Yeah, he's grumpy.
Stormy?
Yeah,
Grumpy?
Wow, nice.
Yeah, but he still has love because there's hearts dripping from his cloud. But I've got the minor nitpick, and then I have my haiku, which will lead me into my notes. But the minor nitpick: if Nog is drinking a martini, why is it not in a martini glass? It's in a regular glass. It's not in a martini glass. And then Jake goes to get some, and he comes back with 3 more regular glasses. And then the table, if you note, in the table behind Nog, there isn't actually a martini glass. So that bar has martini glasses.
It's a solid nitpick, Grumpy Smurf.
The knackers.
Well, maybe that's the one detail Felix didn't catch.
Maybe.
He didn't include
He's
that.
only human, presumably.
I think that's one noted in the goofs, that he brings out the martini glasses in highball glasses and tumblers. When
Yeah,
that era, you would definitely get that long stem cocktail glass.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm pissed.
Yeah.
What else you got
And
for
not
us,
exactly
Carrie?
a nitpick, but did anybody notice near the end of the episode that creepy ass slot machine in the background, that cowboy? Behind
right by the door with the red hat on top of it.
Yeah, with the big hat, and it looks like when to
Vegas,
do
baby.
the lever, like you shake the cowboy's hand or something. That thing was creepy.
The
Right
red
next-
hat, you say?
Right next to Nog, where in that
Like at the very end, end of the
Homer's
episode,
background?
when he goes back and says you can be on all the time. It's like right in the background, right next.
Yeah,
to
actually,
that.
it is right next to Homer's head. I think I see that.
I'm going to spotlight you real quick.
Is that it? I
hard to
can't mess
tell.
with I can't mess with slot machines after the Twilight Zone. Man.
Maybe I tried to screenshot it on my phone.
Twilight Zone.
But in any case, yeah, I never need to see that slot machine again. But as far as my haiku goes, Vegas brings escape, a unique way to rehab. In the end, it helps. And yeah, like other people were saying, yeah, just sometimes you just need to retreat into your comfort food, so to speak. Whether it be music or TV. Like if I could, on bad days, if I could go into a hollow suite and go hang out in the gazebo and in the middle of Stars Hollow on Gilmore Girls, I would absolutely hang out there if I could.
Getting snaps from me on that.
Stars Hollow is just the place to be.
That's it.
And musically wise, I think if Nog were around today, one of my favorite bands that always makes me feel a little bit better, they're called AJR. And they've got a fairly newish song on their most recent album called Way Less Sad.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
Yeah. I like to think Nog would like that song. I listened to AJR over all 3 of their albums just over and over and over. He hasn't really come out and said it, but I'm sure my husband's probably sick of them. But they have yet to get old for me. I discovered them in 2015. But yeah, it's never easy to admit when you're scared. Like when you're going through stuff. Like I had that prior relationship that I've mentioned before, that 20 years later I'm still dealing with not visual flashbacks, but just like emotional flashbacks. Like people arguing sets off something like back in my head, and so then I feeling stuff like that. Then that's when I'll put on my music to help calm me and soothe me. I listen to audiobooks when I go to sleep to sleep at night, just because it's nice to have someone read you a bedtime story. Although don't ever listen to Stephen King read an audiobook to go to sleep. You will not sleep. I made that mistake once.
Or his son.
I can listen to a Stephen King audiobook, like the book itself, but listening to Stephen King's voice to fall asleep, never a good thing. It will not help you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can absolutely. Just everyone approaches their own therapy in different ways. Some can actually talk to a therapist, and some get their feelings out by watching endless repetitions of their favorite TV shows.
Well, yeah. I think a lot of people use the latter there for sure. Well, thank you, Carrie. Thanks for introducing us to Grumpy Gummy Bear. Remember Grumpy Gummy?
I don't know. But I sent Rex a Care Bear, and I just offered the deal I was making. I was offering to send one to Tim as well, because sometimes you just need something to hug, and I send Care Bears.
And we did lose Rex. Yeah. Rex is gone. It's too bad. He was in and out a lot because he was in his car and stuff. So we'll catch him next time. Cirroc, any final thoughts on this glorious episode that has changed so many lives and meant a lot to a lot of people? And brought Grandpa One into our lives.
Yes, this has been great that all of us have been touched by this episode in so many different ways. I mentioned this before in another recording we did, but it's again addressed in this episode, and that is 500 years from now, there's still no real cure for mental illness. So they can replace your leg with a biosynthetic leg. They can do dermal regeneration. But when it comes to the intricacies of the mind and the brain and the kinds of things that people go through with trauma, it's still not easily solved. It's still something that is just as unknown as it is today. Kind of like trial by error, and let's find out the best way. And I think that's what this episode also dealt with. This is Nog's way of dealing with his trauma and finding his way back. Also wanted to bring a little highlight and attention to the song It's Only a Paper Moon, which was this Ella Fitzgerald song. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the inspiration for this episode in some ways. I would like to talk with David Mack and Dover about where the inspiration for the music and some of the the title. But the lyric that stood out to me in this song was when she says, "It's a Barnum and Bailey world, just as phony as it can be, but it wouldn't be make-believe if you believed in me." And I believe that lyric reflects the holosuite. It's all phony. It doesn't really exist. But if you believe in Vic, if you believe in it, then you can find something to hold on to, something that will be real. The other reference that they made was the Frank Sinatra song. I got the world on a string, sitting on a rainbow, which I love that song. But they ended the episode with the line, "Life is a beautiful thing," which is one of the lyrics from this song, from the Sinatra song, where he goes on to say, "Life is a beautiful thing." He says, "As long as I hold the string," but they ended it and cut it at "Life is a beautiful thing," celebrating the life. And both of these songs talk about love. And I was trying to say, well, what was the thing? What was the love that brought Nog back? And I think it was the love that he found, in that hologram, kind of in that escape moment where he was able to, build the casino and the blueprints and figure out things, and he found a role for himself so he found like another new love for life, which Vic was trying to get him to just, okay, now transfer it from this space back over to the real world. So that was the thing, the love of life, that I think really jumped out for me is one of the things that Vic was trying to do. Where's your computer? When he pulls up the pencil and he says, right here. I love that line. It was special. I love when Ram says, my son is insane. He's a one-legged crazy man. I thought that was funny to hear Ram go off like that. And of course, my mind says insane insane with a little cane.
Okay. Insane with the cane.
Yeah. So they also mentioned Errol Flynn, which I've heard mentioned before in a lot of different contexts. I think Jay-Z had a song. He says "Hot Like Errol Flynn," and I never knew who Errol Flynn was. I had to look him up in this episode. Australian actor that was, really prominent during those early days in the movies and television. But I thought they did a very good job of just capturing the in like Flynn, of capturing the period. The TV, for example, like we're so used to turning a TV off with a remote control. When he had to go walk up to the TV and turn it off, but pressing the button on the TV, it just reminded me of just the little details that they paid attention to. The Billie Holiday, "I'll Be Seeing You" song, a little bit of Ella Fitzgerald, a little bit of Frank Sinatra, a reference to Elvis. Just so many references there that I thought just made it really authentic. I also like the wardrobe. I love the sweaters that he put him in, the Mr. Rogers or Mr. Noggles sweaters.
Oh boy.
Love it.
And I wanted to also just bring up that last point that you mentioned. I thought it was great when they asked about when Nog says, "When you sleep, do you dream?" And even though that's a question for the Hollow program, it's also for me, when I reverse engineer it, I look at it from his perspective. Nog's dream of being in Starfleet, Nog's dream of whatever he wanted to become, had found itself, had found the innocence of it kind of lost and corrupted by this moment, right? He talks about, I didn't think it could happen to me. That's, I've seen this, I've seen that, even in the Valiant episode, and they lost half of the ship, but he walked out of there alive, and it didn't happen to him, right? He was kind of, this is the first time he was the victim of something directly. And I think that was kind of this innocence of the perfectness of a child's dream kind of being exposed to the harsh forces of reality. And also, I like the moment at the end, and this is my last point, is when Vic Fontaine tells Nog, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but at least you're in the game. And Nog doesn't say anything. He just walks away. And I love the way he gives him a look, doesn't say anything, and he just walks away. And I was like, that's a great kind of ending to that scene. But then when Vic sees that he picks up the cane and he sees that he walked off without it, I thought that was just another like special touch. It kind of reminded me of The Usual Suspects when Kaiser Sose kind of walks off walking normal. I felt like Nog didn't need his crutch anymore. He didn't need that anymore. He's kind of he's on his path to his recovery. So love this episode, and I love what it meant for so many people, including myself, just having gone through what I've gone through in my life. And it's just an inspiration that if you have good friends around you, if you have a community of people that care about you, and it doesn't take a whole bunch, really in this case, it's just a few. But if you have those people that are in your life that are really concerned about your well-being, they could be a guardian angel for you in these kinds of times. So it's very special that they touched on that as well. So I love this episode from beginning to end. It was just so fun to watch, and I kept pausing it and rewatching it and pausing it and rewatching it, and it couldn't get enough of it. I even like the way that lighter cane, he was like, it kind of reminds me of the Grand Nagus, because that's what I thought when I saw it. It's like, that looks like the Grand Nagus's staff. But yeah, it was just well written and very much a joy to watch.
All right. Wow, good stuff. Speaking of the music, real quick, our associate producer, Marie Segal, also sent something in, like Sue did. She said, "If You Believed in Me" was the original title of the song It's Only a Paper Moon from 1933. So that's an interesting thing. She also mentions Anson Williams also directed Statistical Probabilities. If you guys remember that episode, that was the other one he directed. Anyway, thank you all very much. This has been great, as we knew and expected it would be. And speaking of guardian angels, our guardian angel is Anil. Thanks for joining us, Anil. He's everybody's. He's very busy.
Thanks, Anil.
Also, thank you to Homer, Faith, Tierney, Eve, TJ, Guldu Scott, Erica, Carrie, and Tim Holden. Oh, wait a second. Let's pull that up. He's wearing his his noggins that Melissa made, I think, right?
Yeah, and it sits in front of my keyboard every morning. So
nice.
It's only a paper moon.
Yep.
Dog looking all sexy.
Someone had to say it.
And also shout out to Rex Wood, who wasn't able to join us, but he was in and out.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Rex. We love that dude. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you guys, and everybody at home. Leave your thoughts, leave your comments. Tell us what you thought, whether it's about the episode or whether it's about something someone said here today. And until then, we'll see you next time. And always remember the 7th rule.